The final friendly before the big World Cup draw sees England taking on Ivory Coast at Wembley. Paul Parker, former international, joins us now. Gareth Southgate will be looking to follow that Switzerland win with a victory, Paul, against an Ivory Coast side who had a little bit of a disappointing campaign in the African nations.
Yeah, they've definitely done that. There's always a high expectation for them, considering some of the players who have played in our Premier League. But I would say that I was there at the weekend, and he'll be definitely maybe picking that looked experimental and very young, very inexperienced, and Switzerland were kind of running them ragged, to be honest, and they went 1-0 up, deservedly so. The goal before half-time by Luke Shaw kind of, I think, calmed things down, and then, as everyone noticed, he started bringing on more experienced players, because sorry, I don't know where I got Everton from. Sorry, Switzerland were quite superior up until really the substitutions. So he'd done well to get a result from that. I'm quite sure he'd be looking from a better performance from the start of that game. And when you look at the back four he had of a Ben White, a Walker Peters, and I'm trying to think the left side of centre half was, he had Cody in there, plus there was Crystal Palace, Gahey was playing as well. There was a definite full international who was lacking experience, but they come through that. So Ivory Coast, they're going to have to be a little bit more cute in maybe the way it starts, and maybe introduce the players rather than start with too many on the field.
Yeah, I mean, the Switzerland are a good side, aren't they? They've offered plenty of threat to England in the first half. It was a much better second half performance. So what do you think Gareth is actually going to be looking for, though?
He's going to want to win, but he's going to want a performance. I don't think he definitely didn't get what maybe he was looking for. He would definitely take the win against Switzerland, because, as we already know about Switzerland, they always qualify for tournaments. So they've always get a good result under their belt as well. I think they thought they was going to get that against England. But Ivory Coast, if they don't, if you do allow them the opportunity, they would love take the opportunity to go and beat England at Wembley, and they won't care who they're playing against. The fact that they're beating England at Wembley would be a massive scalp for them, which has been in the last few months quite a disappointing time because of what happened in the African nations.
And just a word on Harry Kane, he's 4 off the record now, Paul. And obviously he's got a better strike rate as well, caps per goal than many others. I don't think only Jimmy Greaves has got a better one. It's just a case of it's when, isn't it? Not if he beats the record.
Yeah, it definitely is when. I think we have to say today's game, the way the game is today, suits the situation. I don't think you can look at him and Jimmy Greaves at the same time, completely different players. Jimmy's goals were scored in a tougher era, should I say. Everything was tougher about that. And how he achieved that was remarkable. The amount of games they played, and he didn't, he never had the opportunity to play against an Andorra or a side of that ilk like Harry Kane does, the San Marino. So I think we have to look at it look at Harry Kane's record at this era as the one to beat now. I don't think you can talk about the Jimmy Greaves and the Bobby Charltons in the same light, because of the football was completely different at that given time.
And just a quick word on Luke Shaw's comments. I mean, you're a fullback who played for Man United and England. He's come out and he said how much he enjoys playing for England, a smile on his face. I mean, are people taking that and just thinking the situation United isn't as good, or, are they reading too much into it, or was he just stating the fact of how much he enjoys playing for England because he's getting a good run in the side there?
He's getting a good run at England because Chilwell isn't fit. There isn't anyone at the moment who is pushing him for that spot. I think the young lad Tyreek Mitchell done very well for a full debut. He done really, really well. But his comment and the way it was wrong, to be honest, really, Matt. Everyone would have seen that as smug, a little bit of a dig what's happening to United. And I think sometimes when you look at that situation, you don't want to draw too much light to it, but you'd come out and say, well, you're not playing for United because you haven't been consistently good enough. It's as simple as that. You haven't been doing what you're supposed to be doing. He's fortunate that Gareth hasn't got many left backs to call back on. Because I say, if you go back a little bit further, if you're not playing regularly for your club team, you was never going to represent your country. An England manager would never picture out respect to that manager. but it's changed. It's changed as well in that side of it. So he's a fortunate boy, but he shouldn't be using England as a reason to have a dig at maybe people at Manchester United or his position at Manchester United.
And people kind of look to the Harry Maguire situation as well, because he's been picked. Players like Tomori haven't been picked, even though Gareth Southgate will go on form. But he is loyal as well, because Maguire has never let him down despite having a real sticky patch at Old Trafford.
There's always got to be that bit of loyalty with England. I would never disagree with that. After I was involved with Sir Bobby Robson, he was loyal. He got calls, got everything for the players he kept picking regularly. But he always judged it on a certain way about what they'd done for their country or what they'd done for him when they were representing the country. And he's right in certain ways. Tomori, you still got to have to look at kind of equate what's in Italy compared to here. You've got to look at that. And I think we know in Italy, when you look at it, it's a completely different football. When you look at, the goals that Abraham scored, when you look at the goals that Lukaku scored there, and you've seen how they're played here, there's a difference in the football at this moment in time. Tomori has done very well. He should take it upon himself to actually pat himself in the back. He's made a brave move. He's playing regular football for a big club in Italy. But I don't think he really needs people screaming and shouting for him to be in the England squad. I'm sure Gareth is aware of that, the experience he's gaining. And that kind of experience might come around for the World Cup, that he might just want a player who's playing regular European football within his squad, because that might come in handy. So the door, as we know, isn't closed yet for Tomori at this moment. It's wide open. I think the centre-half area is wide open. I think there's a lot of centre-halves who might get an opportunity. There's still Max Kilman, who hasn't had a run out yet as well. Connor Cody can only play in the free. I think we saw that at the weekend as well. So there's plenty of time, because he's missed out on these couple of friendlies. There's 4 competitive games in the Nation League, isn't there, before we go to a World Cup? So they're the ones that you really want to play, and that's when Gareth Southgate will try and nail his team down. And that's the bit where so many games doesn't help an England manager. He's got to fill places to play games. And then he doesn't always want to be picking his better players, because he'll get a little bit maybe persecuted by their club managers. So now when he gets to those games there, that's when he's going to want to get his momentum. He wants to get his continuity to take him on to the finals.
And you mentioned that, it's a good point. I'm going to pick you up on the 3 at the back. I mean, he went with it at the weekend and people have been calling for it. For the likes of Harry Maguire, Connor Cody only plays in a 3. Is that the way you think he may go forward? Ditch that trusted back 4 that he's got into a European final?
Things have to change at any given time, and he might just look at that just to the fact of it might, because ball retention is going to be important. It mostly help the cause to maybe go that way, that 3 at the back. Might just give you that little bit more with the fullbacks push, well, the wing backs push right, and gives you extra bodies in that midfield to kind of not surrender the ball so easy. Plus the tempo is going to be slower because of the heat, and he might be looking at that. But if Connor Cody is going to play for England in a competitive tournament, it has to be in a 3. It couldn't be in a 4, in my opinion. But still, as we're saying, is it going to be Harry Maguire in there? I don't believe it's Mings will get a regular spot. He's the one for me that whose place might come up. There might be available spot there, but there's a lot of centre halves at the moment that Gareth has got a choice of whether or not to take to Qatar.
And just go back to the game, England Ivory Coast. You expect an England win? Is it a comfortable win, or would it be a narrow one?
I think it's very, very difficult. I remember one time it was England v Cameroon. I couldn't play in it. I was I'm trying to think. Well, I just come back. I just had a hernia up when I come back for the World Cup. But Cameroon's come to the UK. It was in the middle of our winter. We had to give them coats because they were freezing, and it was just a fixture. It was just to fulfil a fixture. The game wasn't competitive at all in any, not at all. So I would say it all depends on if we start right, better than what we did against Switzerland, and can actually get on the ball and boss the ball like we did in the second half when the key players come on, then yes, it will be more of a dominance. But I think it will be a hard game, be a physical game, as we know. That's a great strength of theirs. They've got high tempo players with a lot of pace and energy. So England have to start right, otherwise it could be a very, very difficult evening with a side who might, if they get the belief that they can go and achieve a massive win against England at Wembley, they will get stronger and stronger to try and maybe make up what they missed out on before, because it just might let the people back at home just might let them off the hook a little bit.